Today's read aloud is The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. And I know that I said I was going to do William Steig all week, and I am going to continue doing him. But since we heard about someone who made a wish yesterday that might not have turned out quite the way he wanted, I wanted to read this one because in this one, someone is going to make a wish and it may or may not turn out the way he wanted. And so I want you to think about the author's purpose, or what was the author really trying to say to us with both of those stories. So this is The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. It's by Carolyn Sherwin Bailey, and it's illustrated by Jacqueline Rogers. And there he is, The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. There's his house right there. And as you can see, the setting for this story is outside in a meadow. And a meadow is a grassy place. There's a pond over there and some trees here. And so you can see that it's an outside setting. Remember, the settings can change. Now we see the inside of Little Rabbit's home. And so now the setting is inside. The setting will change throughout the story. So watch as the setting changes throughout this story. Once there was a little rabbit who had soft pink ears, bright red eyes, and a short fluffy tail. He was such a cute little rabbit, but he wasn't happy. He wanted to be somebody else instead of the nice little rabbit that he was. And the illustrator shows him looking a little sad here, and he's drawing pictures of other animals that are not rabbits right here. And you can see he has a room like yours, probably has a bed and a place for his toys. But we can see something I want to point out here is the author uses soft and pink to describe the ears, and he uses bright and red to describe the eyes, and he uses short and fluffy to describe the tail. And so remember, when we put words like that, our stories and writing will be better, and you can put words like that too when you're describing things. Whenever Mr. Bushytail the gray squirrel passed by, the little rabbit would say to his mommy, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a long gray tail like Mr. Bushytail's." And whenever Mr. Porcupine passed by, the little rabbit would say to his mommy, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a back full of bristles like Mr. Porcupine's." And whenever Mrs. Puddle Duck passed by in her 2 red flippers, the little rabbit would say to his mommy, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a pair of red flippers like Mrs. Puddle Duck's." Notice here we can see quotation marks around this part of the writing, and that tells me what to do with my voice. It tells me to use my voice like I'm the little rabbit. Old Mr. Groundhog heard the little rabbit wishing. Old Mr. Groundhog was very wise indeed, so he said to the little rabbit, "Why don't you go down to the wishing pond? If you look at yourself in the water and turn around 3 times, your wish will come true." So the little rabbit trotted off. The author says trotted off to show us that he didn't walk and he didn't run. He trotted all alone through the woods until he came to a pool of water lying in a low tree stump. That was the wishing pond. Beside the wishing pond sat a small red bird, drinking happily. As soon as the little rabbit saw him, he began to wish again. "Oh," he said to himself, "I wish I had a pair of red wings." Just then he looked into the wishing pond and he saw his little face. Then he turned around 3 times and something happened. The little rabbit began to have a strange feeling in his shoulders, like he had in his mouth when his teeth were growing in. It was his wings coming through. So he sat all day in the woods by the wishing pond, waiting for his wings to grow. By and by, just before sundown, he started home to show his mommy his beautiful pair of long red wings. And the author says long red wings to show us that they're big now. It was dark when the little rabbit reached home. He knocked on the door. His mother opened it right away, but she didn't know him. No, she really and truly didn't know him, for she had never seen a little rabbit with red wings before. The little rabbit had no choice but to go looking for a place to spend the night, because his mommy would not let him get into his own bed. After a while, he came to Mr. Bushytail's house. The little rabbit rapped on the door and said, "Please, kind Mr. Bushytail, may I sleep in your house all night?" But as soon as Mr. Bushytail saw the strange rabbit, he slammed the door shut. He had never seen a little rabbit with red wings in all his life. The little rabbit went on until he came to Mrs. Puddle Duck's nest down by the marsh. He said, "Please, kind Mrs. Puddle Duck, may I sleep in your nest all night?" But Mrs. Puddle Duck poked her head out of the nest just a little way. "No, no, no," she said, "go away." For she too had never seen such an odd-looking rabbit in all her life. Look at, there's all their flippers, and there's her babies. And there's Mrs. Puddle Duck, and there's her flippers, the other babies. Love the illustrations, by the way. The illustrator did a great job on this story. So the little rabbit went on until he came to old Mr. Groundhog's hole. Wise old Mr. Groundhog recognized him at once and let him spend the night. I like that word, recognized. But the hole had beech nuts spread all over it. I don't know what beech nuts are, so I'm going to use the picture to help me. So it looks like some kind of bumpy thing, and it says nuts, so they are probably bumpy nuts. And while that pleased old Mr. Groundhog, the beech nuts made Little Rabbit very uncomfortable. He had a terrible night. Here's another one of those great words, uncomfortable. I saw the word recognize, that's a great word, and also uncomfortable, that means not comfortable. Look at Little Rabbit. He's having a very difficult time sleeping, especially with those wings. Remember, we're thinking about what is the author's purpose here, and remember, the story is about wishing. So let's think what the author's trying to tell us about wishing. In the morning, the little rabbit decided to try out his wings and fly a little, so he climbed up on a hill, spread out his wings, and sailed off. Uh-oh, look at his face. Do you think something good is going to happen? Pictures give us clues. Nope, nothing good happened. Look at that. Spiky, thorny things. But he landed in a bush all full of prickles, and his little feet got stuck in the branches. He couldn't get down. "Mommy, Mommy," he cried. "Come and help me." Of course his mommy couldn't hear him, but old Mr. Groundhog did. He said to his little friend, "Do you still want your red wings?" "No, no," said the little rabbit. "Well then," said old Mr. Groundhog, "why don't you go down to the wishing pond and wish them off again?" And Mr. Groundhog's picking the prickles out of him. Quick as a wink, Little Rabbit scampered off to the wishing pond, looked in, and wished his wings away. There's another great word, scampered. It doesn't say ran, it doesn't say walked, and it doesn't say trotted, it says scampered. I think that's a fast way, and he looks like he's scampering right here. Then he turned around 3 times, and sure enough, his red wings got smaller and smaller and smaller until they were gone altogether. The little rabbit went straight home to his mommy. She knew him right away and was overjoyed to see the little rabbit that she loved. Straight home. It doesn't say he went home. It says he went straight home. That means directly to his house. And it doesn't say happy. It says overjoyed. I love those words. Love that word, overjoyed. And the little rabbit never ever wished to be somebody other than himself. And there he is showing his picture. So, what do you think the author's purpose is about wishing here? Give that a thought. You know what I think? I think that the author wants us to know that we should be very thoughtful about what we wish for, just like Sylvester and the magic pebble. See you later.